Back in 2023, I was so frustrated with my online coaching business. I was earning 8, 9, 10K a month consistently, but I was hustling to make that money and actually maintain that money. I had some mentors. I had multiple mentors, which was actually a big mistake. I shouldn't have had multiple mentors, but I had multiple mentors for that 12-month period from the beginning of 2023 through till the end. And the problem with that was I was getting conflicting advice and I was being told different things. One mentorship was telling me to go all in on building a scaled program. The other mentorship was telling me that I had to hire coaches and build a one-to-one coaching team and keep things one-to-one. And nobody actually told me that I could build a business whatever way I wanted, which was actually the answer I needed. Both sides were arguing for their method, and I was stuck in the middle, and I was so frustrated. What was actually happening was my entire client acquisition and my entire retention and referrals and coaching delivery, everything was super manual. So although I had a lot of work ethic and work capacity and I could grind my way to 8, 9, 10K a month, I just couldn't get past it. There wasn't enough hours in the day for me to actually bring in enough clients and enough revenue to replace the clients that were dropping off. I also had pretty much no systems, and it was really just a manpower built business. It wasn't really a business, it was like an overpaid job. So yes, I could work from a laptop. Yes, I could work from wherever I wanted. Yes, in theory, I could choose my schedule, but in order for me to actually hit the numbers that I wanted, I had to work all the time in a way that just wasn't sustainable and wasn't enjoyable or fun. So I was so frustrated, and it's taken me a long time. It's 2 years on now, almost a year and a half on from that, actually 2 years on from the middle of 2023. And it's taken me that length of time to kind of figure out where I was gone wrong. And it's really simple. There's different stages of business. And I basically was maxing out one stage and not moving to the next stage. Now, just this weekend alone, I invested with my mentor to work one-to-one over the next few weeks to build out a low ticket funnel, which is basically a sales funnel that's going to run in the background every single day and bring me daily customers without me having to send DMs or go viral on Instagram or any of these things. Now, there's a little bit of building to do, but that's what the next level looks like. Now, previously, I didn't have somebody who was telling me what the next level was. And the advice that I was getting was just to grind harder at the current level. But the reality was I had reached capacity at the current level. And the advice that I was given wasn't the business that I wanted to build. So one mentorship was telling me, hey, you've got to hire these coaches and you've got to build this big coaching infrastructure and team, and that's how you get to the next level. But I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to have a ton of coaches. I didn't want to be responsible for a ton of people. I didn't want to have to deal with hiring people and then they leave and all this nonsense. I just wanted a simple, scalable business that I could run myself from my phone and my laptop and make a lot of money and have a lot of freedom and enjoy my life and do things that I thought were fun. And I was like, surely this has to be possible. And when I posed that as a question to the people in the mentorship, they shot me down. They told me I didn't care about my clients. They told me that I was lazy and didn't want to do the work and all this bullshit. Needless to say, I left the mentorship as soon as I could. Unfortunately, I was locked into a long-term contract with them, so I had to pay them quite a bit of money before I could leave, which is why I don't do long-term contracts myself for my clients, because I had a really bad experience with that. The other mentorship was on the complete other side of the fence, where they wanted me to test a huge ad budget and start running ads. But the problem was I didn't even like the thing that I was doing. So they were encouraging me to run ads and put a huge ad budget behind what I was currently doing to bring more and more people in and to just outsource the sales and the marketing piece, but then have me stuck in delivery, working with all the clients, and I just wasn't enjoying having that many clients. So on two sides, I was getting polar opposite advice. And what I realized is that, as often is the case, the truth is actually somewhere in the middle, where neither of those approaches were the right approach for me. And the real problem was that I was just stuck at a certain stage of business and I didn't know what the next phase was. And if you don't know what phase of business you're currently at and what the next phase is, then you don't know what to change when the next phase comes. So for example, maybe you're at the very start of your business. You're building out your offer, you're getting clear on your ideal customer, you're getting clear on your client journey, you're getting clear on how you deliver to your clients, you're getting clear on outreach, messaging, sales calls, content creation, all of these things. At that stage, you should not be running ads because you don't have something organic that works. Okay, so at that stage of the journey, you need to figure out the foundations of the business. You need to basically assemble the building blocks of the business until it starts working organically and it's working with your current clients and your service is good. After that point, once you're kind of clear on what you do, you move to the next phase of business, which is essentially, okay, I know what I do, I know how I do it, I know who I help, I'm getting good results. Now I need to start actually building a brand and documenting this process and building out my own systems and my own framework and developing my own intellectual property, my own way of doing things. I need to get clear on the ideas, the way that I coach. I need to look at my retentions. I need to look at how I'm getting referrals, testimonials. All of this stuff, now that the business is actually set on solid foundations, now we can start to expand the business out. And this was the phase that I was stuck in. So I had an offer. It wasn't the best offer, but I had an offer. I knew how to get clients. I knew how to acquire clients. But I was stuck in this phase where all I could do to acquire clients was send more DMs, post more content, and basically hope for the best, or like go and just message absolutely everybody under the sun to get sales. Now, what I didn't realize was that there was a next step to escape that. And that next step actually looked like changing up the structure of my business. It looked like starting to look at other ways of generating leads. It should have had me looking at offers, like different types of offers, lead offers, micro offers, core offers. Like there was just this whole chunk of business that I wasn't even aware of. And then I was banging my head against the wall because I'm like, I'm working so hard, I'm trying so hard, and this business is just, it's stuck. I can't get past 8 to 10K a month. And anytime I get to 10K a month, I would burn out and I would have, a few weeks where I barely did any work and it would go back down to 7 or 8K a month and I would struggle to get it back up, and it was just up and down and up and down. And that happened to me, it happened to me for years before that as well. It was like the third time I got a business or an offer in the same business to 8, 9, 10K a month. And I could just never progress past that stage. And the reason is I was behaving like a coach, not like an entrepreneur. I wasn't actually looking at, okay, there's actual phases in this journey. There's actually a next stage of business building where I have to look at leverage. I have to look at buying back my time. I have to look at how I'm going to make this scalable, both in terms of delivery and sales and marketing. I need to be putting my time into building a personal brand and building my online presence, not putting my time into like changing somebody's calorie targets every week because they've got an event coming up at the weekend and so I need to go in and manually change their calorie targets. It's like none of that stuff was a good use of my time. So I had no clear understanding of where my time should go and what parts of the business I should work on and when. And the point of this video, and the one thing I want you to take away, is before you start working hard, identify what you should be working on, because you can work exceptionally hard on all the wrong things for years and you won't get the results. And there's a great saying about insanity. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. And by that definition, I spent years being an insane person, and it's taken me years to finally no longer be an insane person and actually see that there is different pieces of the puzzle when it comes to building and growing an online coaching business. And following generic advice and following advice of people who are just coaches but don't actually understand business and don't actually understand what it takes to get to the next level is going to leave you stuck. And there will be plenty of people out there who are also mentors who don't know this stuff, because I was in multiple mentorships and nobody pointed this stuff out to me. Maybe they wanted to keep me as a client, maybe they genuinely didn't know, I don't know. But the point here is get clear on what you should be working on before you sit down to work. And if you don't know what you should be working on, that is the next problem to solve. I can solve that problem as well. If you're not sure, hit me a DM on Instagram. Just tell me where you're at currently, what you're struggling with, what your biggest goal and challenge is, and I'll happily give you those next steps in a voice note, no commitment, nothing like that, just to say thank you for actually watching this video through to the end.